It's the start of a brand new week in the National Football League. Thanks for starting it with us here on this live edition of NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we'll catch up to speed on the latest news and rumors from across the league. We'll be talking about Bill Belichick. Could he be traded from New England? Zach Ertz, could he be on his way to San Francisco? Also, Kenny Pickett, what's his future look like with the Pittsburgh Steelers? We'll also answer your rumors mailbag questions. Get involved, interact with the show, send in those questions using hashtag NFL or Super Chat. We'll get to them coming up in just a bit. Also, we're going to talk a little college football today as well. Take a look inside the college football transfer portal and give our predictions for 10 different quarterbacks and where they could be headed. We'll go over that coming up at the end of the show. As you guys file in, shout out your city. We'll shout you out as we get this show on the road. And thank you guys for joining us. Let's see, who all's in the chat already? John Young saying go Raiders and asking if they will sign Jim Harbaugh and J.J. McCarthy, a package deal. I don't know. We'll see. Smitty is also here with me. Smitty, what were you saying there? I said shout out your city. Shout out your favorite team. Yes, I'm so used to that. Shout out your favorite team. As I get Cameron says, go Bills. Robert says Atlanta. Juan says Raiders. Robert says go Falcons. Got Donald saying the Bears as well. I got Rignegal. I don't even know how to say that. Says go Broncos. There you go. So some fans from all across the NFL here today. Maybe the worst game we could possibly think of. The Thursday night football matchup tonight featuring the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots. The Patriots with just 2 wins on the year. They have been dreadful for much of this season. The Steelers, they are in playoff contention, but their offense is a disaster. And Mitch Trubisky's getting the start tonight with Kenny Pickett hurt. Who do you got? S for the Steelers, P for the Patriots. Give us your predictions in that chat. I see Gaming Wizard says Steelers. Cameron says Steelers. Donald says Steelers. You know, this game is going to be so ugly. I'm not ruling out the Patriots' chances to get the job done tonight, that we could see a Patriots win. It could come down to who has the ball last and see who gets a game-winning field goal to win 3-0 or something, potentially. Shelley says Steelers. Who else you got? Anybody going with the Patriots or everybody going with the Steelers tonight? I'll just for the sake of being different, I'll go with the Patriots tonight, that they end that, 5-game losing streak they're on right now? What do you guys think? Wolfgang says Steelers. I see a happy holidays in there.
The offenses are so bad, it might be whoever has the ball the least.
Yes.
Whoever loses the time of possession today will probably win the game. Because if you keep these offenses out there more and more, they're so susceptible to turnovers. It's ridiculous.
Smitty, the best offense on the field tonight might be the Patriots' defense.
Yes, Steelers' defense. Steelers' defense is probably better than the Patriots' defense. But in Foxborough,
Joseph says end in a tie.
0-0.
Steel City 22 says S. By the way, I got to shout out to Smitty. He's the MVP of today's show for making this show happen. We would not have been here today without Smitty. So everybody out there, spam Smitty in the chat.
Appreciate you
for making this show happen. Last minute notice, filling in and making sure we could still do NFL Daily today.
I'm not the step producer. I'm the producer who stepped up.
There we go. I like that mentality. Who is the best team in the NFL right now? There's a lot of different ways we could go with this. It seemed like Hogs. I wish.
No.
I wish. Smitty, a couple weeks ago, everyone would have said unanimously the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
And then they got trounced at home by San Francisco.
Yes.
The Niners, do you believe in Brock Purdy? No one in the AFC appears to step up. And then there's the Dallas Cowboys who look good.
Everybody stinks. There's nobody that's good this year. Everybody can lose to everyone. I mean, the Packers and the Broncos have looked like, elite football teams at points in the season, both on ridiculous win streaks. And then, Kansas City is losing weird games. Philly is the only team who really hasn't lost one of those games to a significantly lesser opponent. They lost to the Jets.
Yeah.
Everybody stinks. Ravens, have they lost to anybody like
the
bad?
Colts?
Colts are sneaky. I like the Colts. They got 7
lost
wins.
The Steelers.
Steelers are bad, and they got 7
And they lost
wins.
the Browns.
So all mid. They haven't lost to any good teams either. They've beaten all the good teams. They just lost to the mid.
Right.
Everybody still stinks.
Well, the Ravens, I feel like I still need to know who they are without Mark Andrews because we've only seen one game of that.
Well, I still think it's San Fran. They had a rut mid-season, and Dallas really that game when they played. I've never seen a more dominant performance than that for 2 teams that are supposed to be the dominant top of the league.
Call me crazy. I still think it's Philly. I know they just got trounced, but I think that was their bad moment.
I don't know how healthy Jalen Hurts is going to be in the playoffs. I mean, he has probably what does he have? 5 more games in the regular season. Then he's going to have, depending on whether he gets the bye or not, 3 or 4 more games in the postseason. That's 8 or 9 more games this season. Is Jalen Hurts going to be 100% healthy once he gets to the Super Bowl if he does?
I would argue that nobody is 100% healthy right now. So we'll see what Hurts can put together here. All right. We'll get the show started in a moment, but I need you guys to like today's video. We're at 23 likes right now. I need at least 30. I don't think that's being unfair. I just need 7 more likes is all. More likes helps out the algorithm, gets more people here. I only got 40 people watching right now. Kind of a late arriving crowd. Granted, we did start late. So I guess that comes with the territory. But help us out. Like the video. Let's get more likes, get more people involved here, and then we'll start today's show. 4 more, and we'll get things going. And as I wait for you guys to get 4 more likes, we'll tell you what's coming up here on this live edition of NFL Daily. I haven't done this show in like a month, so it's good to be back. I had to do Thursday Night Football 3 weeks in a row, and so Sperry, appreciate him filling in for me the last few weeks. He's got Thursday Night Football himself. Check him out over on our Steelers channel tonight. Our Patriots channel is also going to be live as well with Roley and company. So if you are a Steelers or Patriots fan, live coverage this evening, check those channels out. There'll be a lot of fun tonight for sure. But on today's show, we are talking the latest news and rumors across the NFL. Bill Belichick, Zach Ertz, and Kenny Pickett. Also, we'll do a mailbag, hashtag NFL or Super Chat, to get on the show. And then we'll talk a little college football as well. Transfer portal quarterback predictions. I will state the case for about 10 different players of where I think they are likely to end up. And we'll go over those coming up in just a bit. 2 more likes away from starting the show. Smitty, the transfer portal. I know a lot of people don't like the portal and NIL and all this.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's fascinating. I think it's great to see that these teams can flip their roster just like that and the power to the players. I'm all for it.
I think it's fun if you're a Power 5 fan.
Yes.
It's unfortunate if you're like me, somebody who went to a mid-major university and like that mid-major university that does try to compete in men's basketball, and that it's a trickle-down effect that's going to hurt those schools in the long run. Although it is very exciting to see players jump from school to school like it's never been before.
Yeah. We will get to our first segment right now, news and rumors, presented by Manscaped. And then we'll get to our mailbag and talk college football after that. So plenty to get to on today's show. Thanks for spending part of your afternoon here on NFL Daily. And without further ado, we'll get started with our first segment, news and rumors, coming up right now. You're watching NFL Daily, presented by Manscaped. Save 20% off at manscaped.com with the promo code CHAT. We're going to tell you about their fantastic deals coming up later on in the show. Before we do that, though, we're going to be talking about a trade for Bill Belichick. Yes, trade rumors involving a coach, and not just any coach either. Zach Ertz, could he be on his way to the San Francisco 49ers? He's a free agent. Niners are pretty loaded. Could this be a good fit? We'll examine that possibility. And what does the future of Kenny Pickett hold? He won't be playing tonight for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is out. Mitch Trubisky will be in his place. How much longer will he be the Steelers quarterback? We'll examine that in just a bit. If you want your favorite team to make the playoffs, hit that like button. I'm hitting the like button right now to get the Seattle Seahawks in the playoffs. I'm doing my part. Do your part to get your favorite team in the playoffs. Look, we need the Seahawks badly in the postseason. Need all the help we can get. So I'm liking that video. Like the video too. And we'll begin with Belichick here. A new report says there are not one, but multiple suitors interested in New England Patriots head coach Bill Belichick in a trade. Yes, giving up assets to bring Belichick in. Listen to this from The Athletic's Jeff Howe. 3 high-ranking executives from rival teams who were polled by The Athletic believe the 71-year-old could be worth as much as a first-round draft pick. And for the Patriots, who are well on their way to securing their own top 5 pick, such a return could do wonders to jumpstart the franchise's post-Belichick era. He would likely have multiple suitors, a team executive said. A first-round pick for Bill Belichick. To me, this is crazy talk about an idea for trading for a guy who is 71 years old, is clearly past his prime. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. This is insane. I know it's Belichick. He's the greatest of all time. I get that. Believe me. But Belichick has done an awful job since Tom Brady left town. And if you go back to Belichick's track record before Tom Brady, his early days in New England and Cleveland before that, it didn't go so well for Belichick. What is Belichick without Brady? And even taking out the Tom Brady equation out of it for a second here. I mean, the guy's made a lot of bad decisions. I don't trust Bill Belichick to adapt in today's NFL because he just simply hasn't done it right now. If it hasn't worked in New England, why would it work elsewhere? There's 3 teams in particular that come to mind for me that could be suitors for a potential trade for Belichick, and all 3 of them have the same theme. They are desperate. The Washington Commanders. You talk about desperation, the Washington Commanders are just that, and I could see them, for better or for worse, more likely worse, handing over all the keys to Belichick, not just making him head coach, but be GM as well. Carolina Panthers. They have been a mess. Their new ownership has done a terrible job there, and there's apparently already some interest to bring him to Carolina potentially as well. And then there's one more team, the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, what would be different for Belichick as opposed to what he's had since Tom Brady left town, he would have a franchise quarterback with Justin Herbert with the LA Chargers, so that would be a good thing going for him, obviously. But the Chargers have made a lot of mistakes in their own right, have never really found their footing since they've moved to Los Angeles. None of these situations are a perfect situation, and I don't think Belichick is worth giving up a first-round pick for by any means. New England, yeah, you would love that idea. That's a rebuilding team, another pick. New England, yeah. Go hire Gerard Mayo or whatever you do. Take that first-round pick. These other teams, yeesh. What do you guys think? Will the Patriots trade Belichick? Is that going to happen? Weigh in the comments section and tell me what you think. Y for yes, N for no. Is Belichick gone in New England with a trade? Chime in, tell us what you think. Y for yes, N for no. Today's show is sponsored by Manscaped. And ho, 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 gentlemen. Get ready to jingle and deck your balls this holiday season with our friends over at Manscaped. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming have just launched the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, but I like to call it the small gift for your big package. Featuring Santa's #1 helper, the Lawnmower 5.0, Manscaped can guarantee you'll be stuffing more than you're stocking this season. Let your ornaments shine and enjoy 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com with code CHAT. Mrs. Claus will thank you. The Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is the one-stop shop for holiday gifting perfection. Included is a trimmer as precise as Santa coming down the chimney. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra brings 2 next-gen blade heads, perfect for sculpting your holiday dew, from taming the chestnuts to grooming the tree. And trust us, it's as gentle as a snowflake on your sensitive bits, thanks to skin-safe technology. Say goodbye to those holiday party crashers, nose and ears hairs. The Weed Whacker 2.0 ear and Nose Hair Trimmer is the king of trimming those hairs trying to sneak into your festivities uninvited. Keep the party exclusive. Go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code CHAT. Save 20% off. Plus, get that free shipping as well. Makes for a great holiday gift. I got to tell you, recently I got my dad some Manscaped as a present, and he absolutely loved it. Dad, he'll love it too. Take care of him. The rest of your family, get him set up with Manscaped for the holiday season. You'll be glad you did. Manscaped, proud partner of NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Zach Ertz, could he be off to San Francisco? According to a new report, the Niners have emerged as one of the favorites to land the free agent tight end. If you recall, he was waived by the Arizona Cardinals as they mutually parted ways with Ertz looking to join a contending team. Ultimately, nobody claimed him on waivers, and so now he is sitting there available for anybody to sign. And we've heard reports about multiple teams showing interest. Now, San Francisco joining the mix. Listen to this. Comes from Matt Burrows. 49ers are believed to be one of the teams most interested in tight end Zach Ertz, who may wait until next week to decide. San Francisco, theoretically, could put tight end Ross Dwelley, high ankle sprain on IR to make room. Imagine Shanahan is all for adding a veteran weapon with a Super Bowl ring to the roster. And I'll say this, John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan and company, they are going all in with the moves that they have made to get to this point. Chase Young being the biggest that they made at the trade deadline. It's not something where they necessarily need Zach Ertz. You got George Kittle, one of the best tight ends in football there. But it does say that they are serious about doing whatever it takes to get that Super Bowl title. It reminds me so much of what everybody gives credit to Howie Roseman with the Philadelphia Eagles. That's what you're seeing here. And Zach Ertz, a guy that's won a Super Bowl, played at a high level, winning 3 Pro Bowls. Sure, he's not the same player that he was a couple of seasons ago, but asking him to take on a secondary role of sorts in this offense there in Arizona, or in San Francisco, rather, I think is a perfect role for him to potentially make work with Brock Purdy. Think about this, too. Brock Purdy, a guy that doesn't have the strongest arm. If he can get Zach Ertz involved, use the middle of the field to his advantage here, to me, that adds up. Zach Ertz wants to play for a contending team. San Francisco is a team that is right there in contention. Makes a lot of sense. And not to mention, with other teams all showing interest in Ertz, you're looking at his price probably going up a little bit more than people thought about a week or two ago. So San Francisco's got money with all that cap space. The numbers from Zach Ertz this year, nothing too flashy by any means. 27 catches, 187 yards, nearly 8 yards of reception. But you can't deny the career statistics of what he's done with over 700 career catches, nearly 7,500 yards, 46 touchdowns. Zach Ertz has been very good, but looking for that next ring, and San Francisco could be the fit to make that happen. So let's ask you guys now here on NFL Daily, where ultimately does Zach Ertz go? Does he go to San Francisco? There's been rumblings that he could go back to Philly. Does Kansas City bring him in for another weapon for Patrick Mahomes? We know they're lacking pass catchers right now. Weigh in that comment section. Tell me where you think Zach Ertz is going to go. For the latest happenings around the National Football League, subscribe now to NFL Daily by Chat Sports. We are covering this league like no one else is with daily news and rumors. We do weekly live shows, not once but twice a week here on NFL Daily. Our Red Zone channel is live every Sunday as well with whip-around coverage of every game across the league. Subscribe now. If you're an NFL fan, we got you covered every day here on NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Subscribe now. You'll be glad you did. Last but not least on today's show, Kenny Pickett, the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, who has had a bit of a sophomore slump. He will not be playing tonight for Pittsburgh when they square off with New England on Thursday Night Football. But his future beyond this year with the Pittsburgh Steelers has been in question by people outside the organization. But according to a new report from Brooke Pryor of ESPN, the Steelers have not indicated that they are looking to move on from Pickett. Listen to this. While the Steelers haven't given any indication they plan to move on from Pickett in the near future, Trubisky could offer better quarterback play than what Pickett has provided in 12 starts. 62% of pass attempts completed, 6 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Now, personally, I would be surprised if the Steelers do just cut ties, cut bait with Kenny Pickett after this year. But if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers, you have to provide real competition of sorts for Kenny Pickett next year, whether it is a veteran talent or a rookie quarterback. This Pittsburgh Steelers team, think about this. Pickett, the numbers aren't great. Not great at all. With a completion percentage above 60%, 6 touchdowns, 4 picks. The team around Kenny Pickett is too good, especially the defense, to be content with just what they are. And think about this, too. There are too many good quarterbacks in the 2024 draft to just simply ignore. Maybe the Steelers don't use a first-round pick on a quarterback, but maybe they decide to go later on and find somebody in the second or third round that gives them a safety net, another option potentially to compete with Kenny Pickett and give them a backup plan of some sort. So I look at this quarterback class of some of the names that are out there. I mean, you're talking, Caleb Williams and Drake May aren't going to be there when the Steelers pick. But, we narrow things down. Shedeur Sanders and Quinn Ewers are probably not likely to come out, but their names are at least being mentioned. But the Michael Penixes, the Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy's, Bo Nix of the world, somebody, a good quarterback is going to still be around when the Steelers pick later on in maybe second round, whatever it may be. The Steelers can't ignore that. So before we go, let's ask you guys, who will be the Steelers starting quarterback in 2024? Will it be Kenny Pickett or will it be somebody else? Weigh in that comment section and name who you believe the Steelers starter will be. If you enjoyed today's show, like the video. Show us some love. We certainly appreciate it. We'll see you next time right here on NFL Daily. All right. One down. Mailbag coming up next. Hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get your questions on the mailbag. And mailbag questions will get priority to Super Chats if they come in. $sign to the right of the chat box if you would like to send in a Super Chat there. So will the Patriots trade Belichick? Smitty, you and I were talking about this before the show started. Right now, the poll, that's our poll question. 67% of you say the Patriots should trade him. You, on the other hand, don't think he's going anywhere other than New England.
No. I mean, there's no chance this guy goes anywhere else. He's going to retire or he's going to stay in New England for 1 or 2 more seasons, and that's going to be it for Bill Belichick. I don't see him. Maybe it's going to be one of those situations where the coach just isn't ready to retire, and the Patriots are just through with him.
Yeah,
looking to move on, and he refuses essentially to stop coaching. And you'd be crazy if you think a team wouldn't go and pick him up.
Well, here's the other thing I'll bring up here too before we get to the mailbag segment. If you're New England, there was talk about a midseason firing and all that. You can't do that now because you want to keep him in the organization, try to get something out of him potentially. I think once you get to the offseason, I do believe New England would be better off moving on from Belichick, but I would be trying to finagle that trade as much as I can before potentially doing, before firing him straight up and see if somebody else wants to take him on before going that route potentially. Maybe there's a role for him still within the organization. I know part of his biggest problem has been that he's not been a good GM, but we'll see what the Patriots do. So check it in on the chat. We said 66% of you saying yes. That Belichick will be gone at this point, that they should trade him. So with that, mailbag time coming up next. Hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on the mailbag segment that we'll be bringing you. And I know that we've already got several questions in the mailbag, and we'll go from there. So appreciate you guys being here with us. We'll do this mailbag segment. Then later on, we will get to our college football talk. We'll talk transfer portal coming up in a bit. So that is what's on tap. Thanks for spending your afternoon here on NFL Daily. Smitty, we about set? Okay, so we need a few more questions. Let's see who's in the chat. I got Laura in the chat. I got Brady, Texas Cat, King. I need all you guys. You guys got some good comments. But I need you to use that hashtag NFL and get on this mailbag segment. Because here's the deal. When you get a question in the mailbag, we'll put you on screen with your name, your avatar, whatever message you got. This is your chance to have your 5 seconds of fame. Literally. In fact, actually a bit more than that. More than 5 seconds. So need some more questions, and then we'll start the mailbag segment. Wolfgang, Donald, Vince, John, everybody get in there and get in this mailbag segment so we can answer your questions and see what you guys got. If whatever ideas you have, too, if it's some free agents, maybe you want to talk draft, maybe you even just want to talk about the season as is, send those away, and we'll react to them coming up in just a moment. I see Vince getting another question in there. Thank you, Vince. Maxter65's got a question in there. Vince with plenty of good questions. So, yeah, we'll take care of you, Vince. XX Epic also got a good question in there. So, we got enough to start. If you think of more as we're going along, feel free to send them in, and we'll react to them. So, coming up now, it is mailbag time here on NFL Daily. And then we'll get to college football transfer quarterback predictions after that. So that is what's to come here on NFL Daily. Thanks for being involved and hanging out with us here on today's show. So without further ado, we will get going here with our mailbag segment here on NFL Daily. It's NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for joining us. And I want to know, who is your squad? Who do you roll with that has your blind loyalty, win or lose on Sunday? Shout out your favorite team in the comment section. You know I'm rolling with the Seattle Seahawks, the 12s, always here, whether it's Seahawks Today or NFL Daily. Shout out your favorite team. We'll get started with today's show. Our first question in the mailbag this week, R.I.P. Bob Saget. What a legend, Bob Saget. What's Patrick Queen's future look like after this year? Great question. Patrick Queen, he was a name that came up a lot in the offseason when there were questions about his future and even into the trade deadline because the Baltimore Ravens ultimately did not take on his fifth-year option. And we've seen Patrick Queen have some ups and downs, right? Got off to kind of a slow start to his NFL career. Didn't really meet expectations of some sorts of what people thought he was going to be. And then lo and behold, we saw Roquan Smith show up. And that was a game changer. It was the best thing to ever happen to Patrick Queen was Roquan Smith's arrival because we've seen Patrick Queen's play flourish. Roquan Smith next to him has looked like arguably the best inside linebacker in all of football. They have been a terrific 1-2 punch. And as far as the messaging goes, Eric DeCosta, the Ravens GM, said this offseason that they feel like that Patrick Queen is an all-pro caliber linebacker and that although they don't have a deal done, that he is within their future plans. And I think about the Lamar Jackson situation last year. Remember, that went on for a long time before a deal was finally in place. But the Ravens stayed the course even when Lamar demanded a trade and still did whatever it took to get a deal done to keep Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. I think that the Ravens are committed to Patrick Queen. They're going to get a deal done, a long-term contract. I know money is going to be tough to finagle. I expect Ronnie Stanley probably to be the casualty to free up the cap space for Patrick Queen to stay, but I do think Patrick Queen ends up getting a long-term extension staying with the Ravens. What do you guys think? Our pinned comment today. Should the Ravens keep Patrick Queen? Should he stay around? Should they pay him that money to remain with the Baltimore Ravens? Weigh in that comment section and tell me if you believe he should stay there or not. Not Chugs, our host on Houston Texans Today, is asking, any chance Mark Andrews comes back this year? Well, Chugs, thanks for the question there. And it's a fascinating one because if we go back in time to the hot tub time machine to about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we heard John Harbaugh say after the initial injury to Mark Andrews that he was likely done for the remainder of the 2023 season. And then they came back and said, well, it's not as bad as we thought. And then this week, when Harbaugh was asked about it again, Harbaugh said he's actually progressing at a very good pace, and we're not ruling it out. So Harbaugh, I hope he's not towing with my emotions here. I'm a big Mark Andrews fan. He's one of my favorite tight ends in football. But something tells me that they like what they're seeing of the direction Mark Andrews is progressing, that it's not as bad as they initially thought. We know the impact that he means to this Ravens offense here. And think about this. The Ravens have playoff aspirations, right? Championship aspirations, to be exact. Maybe it's not that he's back for week 17 or 18, but maybe he's back for the wild card round or divisional round, something like that, for Baltimore there. So I would be surprised if we saw him the regular season. But maybe there's something potentially for him to be back when the postseason rolls around. So I think it's unlikely, but I like what I'm hearing, at least the messaging, that they haven't completely ruled him out. So then the question becomes, when you look at the Baltimore Ravens, how good are they without Mark Andrews? They're tied for the best record in the AFC. They don't have any bad losses this year. Are they a contender if they don't have Mark Andrews there? Let us know. C for contender, P for pretender. Chime in. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks daily fantasy made easy. In Prize Picks, it's real simple. You get a $100 deposit match on your first deposit. Choose two or more players, any given category, more or less. Maybe you want to play along with fantasy points, receiving yards, pass completions. Maybe you want to mix different sports with the NFL, the NBA, college football. There's all sorts of different categories to choose from with Prize Picks. And here's what I got this week, a little combination of a couple different games. I got Lamar Jackson to have more than 195.5 passing yards, Geno to have more than 242.5 passing yards, and Justin Tucker to make more than 1.5 field goals this weekend. If I put, let's say, $20 down on that, then I'm going to be taking home $100 after all three of these hit. So play along with me on Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Get that $100 deposit match on your first deposit at PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS to play along today. Vince writes in, #NFL, do you expect a deep playoff run from a likely wild card team? Broncos, Cowboys, and Packers are hot right now. I know it sounds very ironic to be depending on the Dallas Cowboys when it comes postseason, but the Cowboys are playing great football right now. Dak looks like he could win the MVP. McCarthy and that offense look very good with the decisions that he's made with that group. The defense, Dan Quinn and company, doing a really good job. Micah Parsons has been fantastic. Cowboys, I could very well see. I know it sounds crazy to say when we mention their history, and how about them Cowboys and all that. Cowboys might even end up in the Super Bowl potentially. They're the best of those, I think, wild card teams that have a potential shot to make a run. Packers are very interesting. We've seen Jordan Love play a lot better football. The two big wins they had with Detroit and Kansas City, and the schedule is very easy for them down the stretch. Packers, I don't think, are a Super Bowl team, but I do like the way they're playing right now. Broncos, I'm still not sold on just yet. XX Epic Jet XX. A lot of X's there. Not going to that website. Says, with all the QB injuries and a down year for quarterback in Taysom Hill on pace for 2,000 yards and Christian McCaffrey having a great season, should the voters be voting for someone else rather than QB? Epic Jet, that's a very good question. And the way I see it, quite frankly, I hate that the MVP award has become a quarterback award. That here we are, it is the year of our Lord 2023, and no wide receiver has ever won the MVP in the NFL, which I just find absurd. I mean, Tyreek Hill, I think, should be considered as MVP candidate. Christian McCaffrey should be considered as an MVP candidate here. Yes, and it's not like there's some obvious quarterback that is having a record-pace season of some sorts. Not like when Patrick Mahomes threw 50 touchdowns a couple years ago or anything like that. So, yes, those guys should be considered definitely so when it comes to that MVP case as far as I look at it. Laura says, will the 49ers sign Zach Ertz? So we talked about it on the channel this week. There are some rumblings that Zach Ertz could ultimately end up in San Francisco, that the Niners have shown some interest, and the Niners are already loaded as is. They don't necessarily need Zach Ertz when you have George Kittle around. But credit to John Lynch. There was a report, here it is, from Matt Barrows just within the last 24 hours or so, that you look at this Niners team, they remind me so much of what Howie Roseman's done in Philadelphia, of being aggressive, making those moves. This would line up with what they want to do. And Brock Purdy doesn't have the strongest arm. Get the ball to the middle of the field. Zach Ertz could be a good option for that. You're not asking him to be your top tight end target. I like the idea of Zach Ertz in San Francisco personally. Vince says, what is the trade value for Justin Fields? Do you think the Bears could still make the playoffs this season? Second part of that question, no. First part of that question, trade value for Justin Fields. So what I think it is, what I would do, and what his actual value is are probably two different things. Personally, I wouldn't give up more than a third-round pick for Justin Fields. I think I could live with myself of giving Fields a shot with a third-round pick. What I think is actually going to happen, though, is teams are so desperate when it comes to quarterbacks out there, and the demand for quarterbacks and giving Justin Fields a potential chance elsewhere outside of Chicago, outside of that dumpster fire where he's been set up to fail. I think somebody's going to probably be willing to give up at least a second-round pick, maybe more, to bring in Justin Fields, potentially speaking. Maxter65, who in the AFC do you feel comfortable as a legit playoff contender? I feel it's Baltimore, but their injury history is what scares me. That's a very fair question, Maxter, when it comes to Baltimore. This is the time of year where we've seen Lamar get hurt the last couple of seasons. So that's a little scary. You're already without Mark Andrews, as we mentioned earlier in the show. Baltimore, if all goes right, looks like the best team in the AFC. But Kansas City, you have to think eventually they're going to turn the corner, that you have the best head coach in the league in Andy Reid, the best quarterback in the league in Patrick Mahomes. Eventually, Kansas City should figure out and turn it around. You would think. Jacksonville, for a moment, looked like that they were well on their way. Then they lost Trevor Lawrence. Miami hasn't beaten a good team. Right now, the AFC, I think, is down to Baltimore and Kansas City. Those are the teams that I feel the most confident in. But even with that said, I don't feel like I have a whole lot of confidence in those two. What's your Super Bowl prediction, by the way? Who gets there out of the AFC, and who gets there out of the NFC, and who wins it? Chime in that comment section. Let us know what your Super Bowl prediction is, and we will see you next time here on NFL Daily. All right. 2 down, 1 to go. Thanks for your questions, guys. Thanks for getting those in. We're going to talk college football next. Transfer portal. We will discuss who is in the portal among some of the top quarterbacks and where they will likely end up. Give some predictions. We'll go over that coming up in just a bit. Let's ask you guys, though, are the Ravens a contender without Mark Andrews? I still think they are. I like Isaiah Likely. I think that he's still a very good tight end. He's not Mark Andrews, but you just get more out of Zay Flowers and OBJ and all that potential. I think the Ravens can still be okay, but I still need to see more necessarily. Smitty, what do you think? What is Baltimore without Mark Andrews?
I think if they get Zach Ertz, could be something interesting for them dynamically at that position. But, yeah, I still think they are. I think the defense provides them with enough. I think Lamar's dynamic enough to get them there. But they have to, when push comes to shove, and they probably have to go to Arrowhead eventually.
Right.
Like it's just inevitable. And that's the road that every AFC team has to get the hump over.
And somehow it always works out for the Chiefs that they get these home playoff games.
Yeah. They're going to be the number 1 seed again. They just lost the Packers. They're not going to lose again the rest of the season. They're going to be 14-3.
Patrick Mahomes has never won a road playoff game. Fun fact, because he's never had to play in one. Up next, transfer portal QB predictions. We'll talk college football. I got to tell you, I love college football. the 4-team playoff. I cannot wait. I know there was some people frustrated with Alabama getting in over Florida State, but the committee had a job to go get the 4 best teams. They did that. With Alabama, I think it's the right call. I think Washington's a good team. Texas is a good team. Michigan's a good team. We're in for a treat with 2 fantastic playoff games coming up this on January 1st in the college football playoff semifinals. What you got there, Jeremy? You want to show that on screen for everybody? Yeah. Jeremy Chugg's in the house.
All right, you ready?
A little surprise for everybody.
I'm going to do a backflip. You ready?
Okay.
You ready?
Okay.
Count me down.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Backflip. There you go. Backflip.
That's good. Had me fooled, too. That was funny. I didn't know what he was doing there. That was good. All right. Transfer portal quarterback predictions. We'll go over that next here on as we transition from NFL Daily, sliding over to college football now. Epic Jet loved that. Council says, did we get Ertz? No, you got Jeremy Chuggs. Even better. All right. Here we go. Final segment, college football transfer portal predictions coming up right now, and we'll wrap things up after that. So, Smitty, we all set? All right, here we go. College football now by Chat Sports coming up in just a moment. We are ramping up the college football coverage here on the channel. As your college football headquarters, we are the place for transfer portal news, recruiting news, counting you down with the college football playoff. If you are a diehard college football fan, this is the channel for you. Bosses want to know, can we get 20 subs off today's video? I believe we can. And if we do, we're going to be bringing you more college football content than ever before here on College Football Now. Subscribe. You'll be glad you did. We'll start with today's show. Transfer portal is in full effect. Just a few days in, already over 1,000 players in the portal, and a lot of notable quarterbacks on this edition of College Football Now. I got 10 of them and their top destinations, predicting where I think they will ultimately end up. Let's start off with Riley Leonard. I think that he is going to Notre Dame and joining the Notre Dame Fighting Irish for his next destination. Riley Leonard at one point was Mel Kiper Jr.'s number 3 quarterback in the 2024 NFL draft class. Few injuries here and there, and Riley Leonard ultimately is not going to go to said NFL draft. And you put him on this Notre Dame team. Think about this. Notre Dame, I thought, had some flashes this season. That USC game, they looked fantastic. You go into next year, they bring a lot of guys back. You add Riley Leonard to the fold. I know Sam Hartman was a good quarterback, but I think Riley Leonard could be even better. And you might be looking at a Heisman contender and Riley Leonard being a part of the equation there and seeing him really just step up to the plate and would have that offense rocking potentially. And think about Notre Dame's offense. Of the way that offense has worked over the last few years, they have been more of a pro-style ground and pound offense, right? You add a guy like Riley Leonard to the fold here, Notre Dame could be one of the best offenses in college football next year. They could be averaging 30-plus points a game and really open up the offense. So for me, not only Riley Leonard, obviously he's a smart guy going to Duke, so he's got the academics to go to Notre Dame. So he's got that fit going for him. But of what Notre Dame's looking for and where they're at, to me, that just seems like a natural fit for him to end up with the Irish. Where will Riley Leonard end up in the transfer portal? It's our pinned comment today. Predicted for me where you think he is going to go. Chime in and give us your prediction. Next up, Dillon Gabriel, the Oklahoma Sooners quarterback, will trade out 1-0 for another, as I believe he's headed to Eugene, Oregon, to play for the Oregon Ducks. Dillon Gabriel was fantastic for Oklahoma this year, his second school that he's played for. Remember, he started his career with UCF. Goes to Oklahoma under some crazy circumstances with Lincoln Riley gone and a new regime under Brent Venables. And this year really just found his footing with that Oklahoma team. And you think about what Oregon got out of Bo Nix, who was originally at Auburn, ends up going to Oregon and really just accelerated his career and became a much better quarterback at Oregon. I look at Dillon Gabriel, and he's much better now than what Bo Nix was when he left Auburn and headed to Oregon. I think personally Dillon Gabriel could go to Eugene and be just as good, if not better, than Bo Nix was. And Bo Nix is a Heisman finalist and going to have an invite to New York coming up later this weekend. So for me, Dillon Gabriel, you put him in Oregon, you put him in the Big Ten Conference next year, Oregon's right back in the thick of things again, contending for a college football playoff spot. Cam Ward from Washington State, we have him going to Ohio State. The big thing that Ohio State was missing in 2023 was a dynamic quarterback. Their offense was filled with playmakers like Marvin Harrison Jr. and company, but didn't have a quarterback that could really push the football the way that they wanted to, with Kyle McCord leading the way. You bring in Cam Ward into the equation, guy that's got that run and pass ability, that's very mobile. I think you're talking about the Ohio State as all of a sudden the favorites in the Big Ten. Favored over Michigan as well. And I know that you have the new teams coming into the league, and Penn State is still a contender and all that as well. I think Cam Ward is just what the doctor ordered for Ohio State. That would be huge for them if they could pull that off. USC getting Will Howard from Kansas State. The K-State quarterback who was there for a while has had his moments. Helped lead the Cats to a Big 12 title just a season ago. I know this sounds, for me, kind of like an odd fit of sorts for Will Howard to end up with SC, personally speaking. I look at what Lincoln Riley typically brings in of quarterbacks, and it's usually your prototypical NFL quarterbacks, right? The Lincoln Riley resume includes now Caleb Williams, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, right? All those guys, NFL quarterbacks. Will Howard, at best, is a day 2 guy. At best, probably more realistically, day 3. And his style, it's very much the power run game. He's been the face of the QB power for that K-State offense the last few years. To me, it's an odd fit. But all the insiders on about every recruiting service are connecting these two that have Howard going ultimately to Los Angeles. So maybe Lincoln Riley can get the most out of Will Howard and really, stretch out his game, make him a better quarterback, but it does feel like an odd fit for me, if not typically the type of quarterback that Lincoln Riley usually goes for. Give us a transfer quarterback prediction. Who is somebody that's going to change schools, and where are they going to? Get in that comment section and give me a name and where you think they ultimately end up. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. Choose 2 or more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking about passing yards, passing touchdowns, fantasy points, receiving yards, all sorts of different categories to choose from. And you can mix and match different sports as well, from college football to the NFL, the NBA. This week, a little NFL action on Prize Picks for you. You got Lamar to have more than 195.5 passing yards. Geno to have more than 242.5 passing yards for the Seattle Seahawks. And Justin Tucker to have more than 1.5 field goals made. If all 3 of these hit, let's say I put $20 down, we're walking away with $100 on Prize Picks. So go to the links and the comments and the description of today's video to see these for yourself so you can play along with us. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS to play along today. Prize Picks, daily fantasy made easy. Next on our list is Will Rogers from Mississippi State. We have him going to the Washington Huskies. And Rogers is a guy that fit the Mike Leach mold when Mike Leach was there. And rest in peace. I loved Mike Leach. He was exactly the perfect quarterback for what Mike Leach was doing. Then we see that they switched to more of a pro-style offense, and Mississippi State didn't have the year that they wanted. You bring him to the Washington Huskies, one of the best offenses in the country. that loves to score as quick as they can, light up defenses each and every week. Going from Michael Penix Jr. to Will Rogers, I think would be a seamless transition. I think Will Rogers, you put him with that Washington team and all the talent they're expected to come back next year. Will Rogers, I think, is a Heisman candidate if he ends up with that Washington team. To me, that seems like a natural fit, one of the best fits of all these quarterbacks that we're talking about here on today's show. Now the next five. Kyle McCord from Miami. We have him, or from Ohio State, going to Miami. The U needs a lot of help right now with what Mario Cristobal's got going on there. A lot of pressure on him to perform, and pressure on Kyle McCord too. This is a former five-star quarterback that had high expectations, high hopes to do something, and really just underperformed, didn't deliver for Ohio State this year. I think he and Miami could be a good fit in that they're both in the same boat. They both have something to prove on the football field next season. He stays in a power conference that way. McCord this year wasn't bad, 24 touchdowns, 6 picks. He just wasn't great. And you put him in Miami, let's see what he could potentially do. Would a guy like Kyle McCord make Miami a contender? Think about that Miami team, right? This is a team that is not in a great conference. And I know that the ACC is going to add Cal and Stanford and SMU and all that. Could adding McCord bring Miami to the next level? Weigh in. Tell me what you think. Why for yes, in for no on Kyle McCord. Next up is DJ Uiagalelei, formerly of Clemson. That's where he started his career. Ultimately went to Oregon State. Oregon State had their best season in a long time. Jonathan Smith, their head coach, ultimately moves on to Michigan State. And so DJU back in the portal once again and back in the ACC, quite frankly, playing for Clemson's rival, and would get to face his old head coach and Dabo Swinney again. And Florida State, what they did this year, I know that there was a lot of frustration, and rightfully so, about them not making the college football playoff, but it wasn't a fluke for the Florida State Seminoles. That is a team that Mike Norvell and company has been building. They've been doing a really good job getting that program where they need to go. You add DJU, and I think you keep things turning. You keep the wheels moving for that Florida State team, even without Jordan Travis involved in the equation. We saw what that offense looked. Without Jordan Travis, I think DJU could be a nice spark for Florida State. Then we head to Lincoln, Nebraska, the land of Cornhuskers, where I have Grayson McCall from Coastal Carolina ending up here. We heard from Matt Rule, Nebraska's head coach, say just a few days ago that a good quarterback in the portal is going to cost you at least $1.5 million or $2 million. To me, this would be a great fit. Matt Rule is not running a run-and-gun offense. And Grayson McCall, he dealt with some injuries this year. He is not the best passer in the world by any means. He's shown the abilities to win some big games at Coastal Carolina and make the most with his feet at times. To me, I think that Matt Rule is a smart enough coach that he would adapt to play to Grayson McCall's strengths. And not every coach is going to do that. Nebraska, I think they got it right with the hire this time, and Matt Rule won 5 games this year. Watch out. You had Grayson McCall to the mix, and already with the strong recruiting class that the Cornhuskers are bringing in, they could be one of the better teams in the Big Ten potentially next year if you had McCall to the mix. Dante Moore from UCLA stays within the Big Ten. See what I did there? Going to Michigan. And this one makes maybe the most sense of anybody that we're talking about today. And why is that? Moore is from the state of Michigan. So he'd be coming home. Michigan probably not going to have J.J. McCarthy. He's expected to enter the NFL draft. And you add him to the mix here. I don't know who their coach is going to be. Jim Harbaugh might be gone. But Moore could be a good fit for that Michigan team if they decide to go that route and bring him in and get a good replacement for J.J. McCarthy there as far as that goes. The last quarterback on this list, you may not be familiar with him, but there's a lot of potential here with Aiden Childs from Oregon State. And the second quarterback that we have listed from the Beavs leaving that program, Childs didn't see a whole lot of this year, but in the small sample size, looked pretty good with a 68% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, 300 yards, very young quarterback. And the thing about him, too, is the idea of him reuniting, right? That you would bring him with Jonathan Smith, their head coach at Oregon State, to that Michigan State program. So Jonathan Smith would already have a quarterback that he's worked with, that he's comfortable with. And to me, that would make a lot of sense. So those are our predictions. We will see how they play out. We have you covered here on College Football Now with the latest happenings across the transfer portal. Subscribe now for free. We'll keep you updated, and we'll see you next time here on College Football Now. All right. We are almost done. We just about to sign off here in just a bit, but sound off. Give us your transfer portal quarterback predictions as Smitty rejoins me right now. Smitty, what about you? You got any predictions for any of these transfer portal quarterbacks?
No, I do think that a lot of the destinations are very entertaining. I'd like Riley Leonard to Duke. All right, oh my God, here we go. Notre Dame, Riley Leonard. I like that. I think DJ U to Florida State could be very fun.
I love the idea of him facing Dabo again.
Yeah,
that was a nasty
just,
breakup.
You know, that's just classic college football drama that you love to see. Honestly, forgot. Let me scroll back up and see some of the rest of them. Grayson McCall feels like a Nebraska quarterback. Kyle McCord, I mean, yeah, like you said, he's got something to prove. I like that. And Ohio State needs a quarterback, so.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. We'll see how it plays out. Guys, thanks for joining us here at NFL Daily today. Subscribe now for more NFL coverage, college football coverage as well. This is the place to be. He's Tyler Smith. Big thanks to Smitty for stepping up today. If you guys only knew what it took to get this show on the air, you wouldn't believe it. We'll see you next time. Red Zone coverage coming up on Sunday, so stay tuned for that. Our NFL channels, Patriots and Steelers live for Thursday Night Football tonight. So go check those out as well for our watch parties, and we'll see you next time right here. Thanks for joining us.